Is our second class on quadratic expressions. What are quadratic expressions? These are expressions in which the maximum degree of the variable is 2. It cannot go more than 2. You cannot see an x cube or an x raised to 4. You will not see it. So such expressions are called quadratic expressions. Today we will learn a new identity which looks like this. What do you see here? You see two different factors. One factor x plus a, the other one x plus b. How many numbers are involved? 3. X and a and b. And how do you find its answer? How do you expand it? This is how we expand the product of these two factors. Take x, multiply it with the whole of the second term. Take a, multiply it with the whole of the second term. But then remember, when you take a, remember to take the plus with a, because that sign belongs to a. So plus a into whole of the second term, then apply the associative property. This is your final answer. Now let us cut all this drama and go straight to the identity. The first term, x square. The second term, what comes with x? The sum of a and b. What is the third term? The product. There. We are not going to do all of these steps every time. Straight away, this is your identity, where s is the sum of a and b and b is the product of a and b. Now, what all categories can you think of? What all signs can A and B take? Both A and B might be positive, both might be negative. Now let us consider all that possibilities, but before that, some basic rules that I'm sure you have learned probably in your 6th standard. Let me just remind you. All your numbers are of the same sign, all positive or all negative, then always add. Find the numerical value of the sum, and then for the sign, if everything is plus, put plus sign. If everything is minus, put minus sign. But then if one of your numbers is positive and the other is negative, always subtract and put the sign of the greater number. Whichever is greater, put its sign. So that makes sense, right? 3 minus 2 will be 1, but 2 minus 3 will be minus 1. That makes sense, right? So whichever is greater, put its sign. So please remember that. We will quickly consider all the categories involved. Now these are the 4 categories that you have to consider. What are they? What if both A and B are positive? What if both A and B are negative? What if the greater among them is negative? What if the smaller among them is negative? These are the 4 cases that you have to consider. And how will you expand it? Don't go through all the motions. We just start using the identity. What is the identity? The first term here will be this into this, x into x, that will give you the first term. And the second term is what? X into sum of these two. 3 plus 4, 7. 3 into 4, 12. Again, here the first term is x square. Minus 3 minus 4, minus 7. Minus 3 into minus 4. Count the number of negative signs. If there is an even number of negative signs, the answer will be plus. If there is an odd number of negative signs, the answer here will be minus. So here you have 2 negative signs. Minus 3 into minus 4, that is plus 12. Now here x square. 3 minus 4, what is it? It will be minus 1. But we just don't bother writing minus 1. If it is minus x, you know that the coefficient of x is minus 1. You know that, it is understood. So we just write minus x, and then 3 into minus 4 is minus 12. Again x square. Here you have 4 minus 3, which is plus 1. There. You have all the 4 categories here. This is how you start with 2 factors. 1 factor, 2 factor. You start with 2 factors and expand it to 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. Now, how do you reverse? How do you find the way back? How do you start with 3 terms and go to 2 factors? I will show you an example. Suppose x square plus 26x plus 25. So what do you have? This should be in the form sum x plus a into x plus b, where a plus b is going to be 26, and A into B is going to be 25. So this is going to be your A plus B. This is going to be your A into B. Now, how to proceed is always first start with your product. Your product is A into B is equal to 25. How many numbers can you think which when multiplied give you 25? Start with 1 and 25, then 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 into 5, anything else? Nothing. Now, this is where you look at its sign. You see here, the plus sign here means that both A and B are of the same sign. Either both are positive or both are negative. Now, how do you find out whether they are positive or negative? Then you go to A plus B. You see that A plus B is 26. It is a plus here. That means both the numbers that you have taken have to be plus. It has to be 1 plus 25 or 5 plus 5. What is it? It is 1 plus 25, right? What is your A? Your A is say 1 and your B is 25. There. This is how you reverse back. From 3 terms, you go to 2 factors. Let us try a few more questions. Look at the first question. Let it be of the form x plus A into x plus B. So we are looking for 2 numbers which when multiplied will give you minus 40 and which added will give you minus 6. Start with your product. Forget about the minus. Just think about the numbers that when multiplied will give you 40 and when added will give you 6. What all can you think of? There is 1 and 40, there is 2 and 20, then 3, no, then 4 and 10 and 5 and 8. Just stop here. Look at 4 and 10 and look at 6. You see what is happening here, right? But now look at the sign. What does this sign mean? When do you multiply 2 numbers and get a negative sign? When one is positive and the other is negative. So next, which one is positive and which one is negative? Look at the sign here. It has a minus. That means whichever number was greater, that had a minus sign. So what you are looking for is minus 10 and plus 6. Sorry, plus 4. So multiplied, they will give you minus 40. Added, it will give you minus 6. So just looking at this, you can say that your answer is x plus 4 and x minus 10. But let us write down the steps. This whole thing is actually called splitting the middle term. How do you split the middle term? Let me show you. Instead of minus 6x, write it as minus 10x plus 4x. There. So it is minus 6 oranges is minus 10 oranges plus 4 oranges. Minus 40. Take the first 2 terms. What do you see common? Just x. Here, don't forget to put the plus here. Plus, what should come inside the bracket? Exactly this should come. X minus 10. How will you get it? What do you have to take out so that from 4x you get x? You have to take 4 out. There. See? You have 2 terms. Both have x minus 10 in common. So there you have x minus 10 and x plus 4. This is your answer. When I started the class, I told you it was going to be all about quadratic expressions. Sorry about breaking the promise. What you see here is an expression of degree 4. It is not a quadratic expression, but still we can get it in that form. How? Take y square is equal to x. There. Then what do you have? X square minus 3x plus 2. Now we have it in this form. Let this be equal to x plus a into x plus b. So we are on lookout for 2 numbers which when multiplied will give plus 2, which when added should give you minus 3. So for now forget about the plus. What are the numbers that you can think of? Only 1 and 2. Now what does this plus sign tell you? This plus sign tells you that both the numbers are of the same sign. Whether it is plus or minus, that we don't know. And how do we find it? Go to this part, the sum part. We see that it is minus 3. What does that mean? That means they are both like this. So your final expression will be like this, but then let us write down the steps as well. What do? Instead of minus 3x, write it as minus x minus 2x plus 2. What do you see similar in the first two terms? X. Take that out, then you have x minus 1. Then you need a sign, a number, and then again x minus 1. To make this minus 2x into x, what can you remove? You have to remove this, a minus and a 2. Now see, minus 2 into x, minus 2x. Minus 2 into minus 1, 2. There you have. So x minus 1 is common. So what is left here? X. What sign do you have here? Minus. What number do you have here? 2. This is your answer. Now let us see a slight variation from the questions that we have been so far doing. It is a very small variation. You are again looking for an a and b, which when multiplied gives this number into this number, that is minus 36. But then a plus b remains the same. A plus b will always be the middle term. It will always be plus 5. Just the product part has changed. So you see what is happening here. Now this is very similar to the questions that you have been doing so far. You just did not realize it. Now see, look at this question. We are looking for two numbers which when multiplied will give you minus 6 and added should give you 5. But what you do not see is that there is actually a 1 here. We just did not bother writing. So this was into 1. We just did not bother writing it. Now here we just write it in its original form. This is the original form. So nothing to worry about. All we have to do is the product should give this into this. And how do we go about it? What all numbers multiplied will give you 36? Start from 1. You can just look at it and know, but still start from 1. 1 into 36? No. 2 into 18, right? No. 3 into 12? Again, no. 4 into 9. Yeah, that is what is going to give you this. But then look at the sign. What does that tell you? One of them was positive and one of them was negative. Which one was positive? That this will give you. It is plus 5. That means the greater number was positive and the smaller number was negative. Now we cannot skip the steps. This we have to completely split the middle term. Instead of saying 5 oranges, we are going to say 9 oranges minus 4 oranges. Let us see how it works. 9x minus 4x minus 6. What all do you see common here? There is a 3 and there is a x. What is left here? A 2x plus 3. Now you need a sign, you need a number, and you need to get this. What do we do to minus 4x to get 2x? A minus and a 2. Now see if it all fits. This minus 4x, this minus 6. Correct? So what is the common factor in both of this? 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3. What is left here? 3x. What sign? Minus. What number? 2. Now look at this question. You have two parts of the question. We have area of a rectangle. We have to find the length and the breadth. Now what is the area of a rectangle? Area of a rectangle is length into breadth. Or in other words, what we have to do is, it is in terms. Find it in the factor form. Or in other words, find it in a form where it is x plus a into x plus b. Now see the coefficient here, it is 25. So how does it work? We need two numbers which when multiplied give 25 into 12, but the middle part is always the same. There is no drama with the middle part. It is always minus 35. Now you see how big it is going to be. Now 25 into 12 will give you 300. Obviously you cannot start from 1 and go all the way to 300, right? So what you do is try to break down into factors or numbers which when multiplied give 25 and 12, which is what, 5 into 5. Randomly take 3 into 4. You can take 2 into 6 also, but randomly take 3 and 4. Now arrange them in such a way that you get this answer. Look at the sign. What is the sign? The sign is plus. That means we have taken two numbers both of equal sign and added them. But what is that sign? Is it positive or is it negative? This tells you that both the numbers are negative. So we need two numbers which when added give 35. You can try all combinations. Take 25 and 12. That added will give you 37, which is not what we are looking for. What about 1, 5 and 3 and this? This will give you 15 and this will give you 20. Added they will give minus 35. But the numbers you are looking for are not 20 and 15. They are minus 15 and minus 20. So how do you split this? Instead of minus 35, you write minus 20a minus 15a plus 12. Now what do you see common here? A 5, a a. What is left? 5a minus 4. You need a sign here, a number here, and you should get the same term here. Now what do you do to minus 15a to make it 5a? What do you take out? The minus here, then 3. There, minus 15a plus 12. So what do you have common in both sides? 5a minus 4. Then what is left here? 5a. What sign? Minus. What number? 3. Now what are we looking for here? We are looking for two numbers a and b, which when multiplied will give you 35 into 12, and when added will give you plus 13. Now before you start multiplying and doing all that, just take a deep breath and look at the numbers carefully. 35 and 12. Add it, you will get 47. That's not what you see here. Subtract it, you will get 13. That is exactly what you have here. Now your product is negative, right? It is minus 12 into 35. What does the minus sign show you? That one of the numbers that you have taken is positive and the other one is negative. How do you know which is positive? The greater number was positive. So it was plus 35 and the smaller number minus 12. Before, if you see such big numbers, don't rush into the calculation. For 1 minute, just check. Usually just at one look itself, you know what is happening. 35 and you see a minus here. So do 35 minus 12, that will give you the 13. So this is what we need. So it is 35 square plus 35y minus 12y minus 12. So what do you see common here? 35y plus 35y plus 1. Then again we need a number, we need a sign, and we need y plus 1. How do we make this into just y? Write the rest here. There. Y plus 1 is the common one. 35y minus 12. So we need a length and the breadth, right? One of them is the breadth, one of them is the length. Now look at these two questions. In the first question you have two different factors. Let us try expressing it in the terms of the nearest multiple of 10. Then we have 100 minus 3 into 100 plus 3. That means what? Two numbers added and subtracted. So this is 100 square minus 3 square, which is of the form a square minus b square, right? But what about this? 100 plus 3 into 100 plus 5. That means what? We have three numbers here. And how do we solve it? It is of the x plus a into x plus b form. And what is it? This is x square. That is what? 100 square plus what is it? Sum of x. What is your x here? Your x here is 100. And what is the sum of these two numbers, 5 and 3? It is 8. Then what is the last term? It is the product a into b, which is 3 into 5, which is 15. So how do we find its square? Square 1, double the number of zeros into 800 into 15. This is your answer. Look at the last question. You have two different factors. When you split them, you get three different numbers. You see that the first number is getting repeated. So the first term will be the square of these two. Now what is this? 5 square is 25. Double the zeros. 2 here. So 4 here. And what will be the middle term? Take the first term into sum of these two. Minus 3 minus 7 is minus 10. That is your second term. 5 followed by 3 zeros. What is your last term, which usually comes as the constant term? Here every term is constant. Usually what do you get the last term? The product of these two, which is 21. Here don't complicate your calculations. See 3 zeros here, 3 zeros here. That means 3 zeros here. 250 minus 5 should give you 245. Plus a 21 will give you this answer. This brings us to the last and the final identity of the day. Compared to the other identities that you have learnt so far, how is it same? How is it different? Now look at this identity. Look at both the LHS. What is same? The number of factors in both of this, you are multiplying just two numbers, a plus b into a plus b. So the factor part is same. In both of this you have two factors. Now look at the terms part. Here you have 3 terms. Here you have 6 terms. That is what is different. So when you have 6 terms, this is how you retrace your steps. You don't add 2 numbers and then square. You are adding 3 numbers and then squaring. That is why you are getting 6 terms. And what are those terms? Look at it carefully. Square of each term, a square, b square, c square added. Then the product of 2, taken 2 of these numbers at a time. Take 2 numbers, 2 into a into b, 2 bc, 2 ca. So all the numbers that you have that you see here, 2, and then take 2 numbers at a time, and there you have your identity. Now as usual, what if 1 is negative? What if 2 are negative? What if all the 3 are negative? Now in the first case, I have taken A as negative, and in the second one, A is positive, but the other 2 are negative. Now what happens when you square? Don't even think about the negative sign. When you square or raise to 4 or raise to 6, you will lose the negative sign. So a square plus b square plus c square, that is finished. Now 2 into minus a and b, just one negative sign. So the answer will have one negative sign. Both positive, answer will be positive. One negative, one positive, your answer will be negative. Again, do not worry about the negative signs. When you square, it will always be positive. So there you go. All the squares are positive. Then 2 into a into minus b. One negative sign, answer will have one negative sign. 2 negative signs, answer will have a plus sign. Again one negative sign, there you have minus 2ac. Now look at this very interesting thing. Both the answers are same. Why? Whether you take one negative or the other 2 as negative, your answer is going to be same. Now the wonderful thing about maths is that you don't have to take anyone's word for it. You can yourself check out the identity and see if it is true. Take any 3 numbers. I will take 1, 3 and 5. So in the first time, for the first identity, take these 2 as negative. For the second, take 5 as negative. Now what happens if all the 3 terms are negative? At each term, for each term you will be taking 2 negative numbers. That means each term will be positive. Or in other words, whether you add the 3 negative number and then square, or you add the 3 positive number and then square, your answer is going to be same. Now there, how many terms do you see? There are 6 terms. That means when you reverse the steps, you should get 3 numbers added and then squared. So let us see first what those 3 numbers are. Square root of x square is just an x. What into what gives you 2? Root 2 into root 2 will give you 2. This is your first number. Y square will be what? Square root of it will be just a y. Then square root of z will just be an z. What is the square root of 8? that is 2 into 2 into 2. So that is 2 root 2. So this is your third number. Now you have got all the three numbers. What about the signs? Where all do you, if all is positive, then all of this here will be positive. But see, you have two negative signs, one here and one here. Which term do you see common here? X. Wherever you are seeing this X term, you are seeing a negative sign. That means just this one is negative. Or, as we learned, just this is positive and the other two are negative. It is same. So wherever you see the common one, take that to be negative. Now I don't have to tell you how to write the steps. You just have to look at it and you see that okay, X is getting repeated. So I will take my X term as negative. Then write it like this. Split each term. And here how will you split it? You will split it as 2 into 2 root 2 Z into Y. A Y term, a 2 root 2 Z term. And here also split it the same way. 2 into minus root 2x into y. Split it that way and then you can arrive at this answer. Now look at this question. What all are given? A plus B plus C is given as 9. And AB plus CA plus AC is given as 23. And I am asked to find out this. Can you think of any identity which will connect all the three of them? What if I square this? Then will I get the answer? This is equal to, but there is a small problem. There should be 2 at each place, right? So I will take like this, right? Using the associative thing, then 2AB, 2BC, 2CA. There I have got an identity connecting them. All I have to do is substitute the values. Now I know that A plus B plus C is 9, 9 square is 81, and this I don't know what it is. And this I know 2 into 23. So that means A square plus B square plus C square is what I want, and that will be equal to what? Keep 81 where it is and take this to the LHS. That is minus 46. That is 35 is your answer. Now for the past 2 classes we have been studying about quadratic expressions and identities concerning them. In the next class inshallah we will study about cubic expressions. But till then, Assalamu alaikum.